It's another week of St. Joe Bears football. The Bears still undefeated and getting ready for another game later on tonight. Brett Witkowski joining me. He's part of the broadcast team that calls the games that you hear on 94.9 WSJM and on the app. And we're everywhere. You can hear it on your radio. You can hear it on your phone worldwide. So this is pretty awesome. Another great game we're looking forward to. Now, I mentioned Brett, the St. Joe Bears are undefeated. What do you call a team that hasn't won a game? That's just defeated, right?
Some people will call them losers, but we don't. We try not to do that with high school kids.
But they will be. The game is again against Okemos. So what can you tell us? What can we see? What can we expect for this game?
Well, this is homecoming for St. Joe, which there's always different distractions. But you figured. Last year there was no homecoming in traditional way. The year before that, St. Joe's homecoming got rained out Friday and Saturday because they had to move the game from a Friday night to Saturday because of lightning, and it still rained the next day. So, you've got seniors who've only experienced homecoming as a freshman, and the rest have never experienced. So there'll be added distractions this week for everybody, including the coaching staffs.
Yeah.
But, Okemos, the football team, and they are like the Washington, the football team. They do not have a nickname at this time. It's a program that just is struggling right now. They've lost 18 in a row games. Their coach resigned just before the season started to take a job. I believe it was with the Michigan State Police. I don't believe they have an athletic director at this moment. I think they're looking for one. So it's a program that's just trying to kind of find itself. They're 0-4. The games haven't been close. They're a big school. It's just a matter of getting in the staffing from athletic director on down to get them back to where they were. But, this is the last time St. Joe will play them. This was a 2-year contract that the SMAC had with that conference that is ending for most of the schools. Lakeshore plays DeWitt later on this season, and they're part of that conference, and we're part of that agreement also.
So how do the St. Joe Bears stay focused? Like you mentioned, it's homecoming. That's obviously a thing that's going to be on a lot of players and the coaches' minds, but also you're an undefeated team going against a team that hasn't won, and you don't want to just treat it as a steamroll game because those are the times where you could lose the game because you look forward to the next week and don't even, this is just a brush off kind of game. How does the team stay focused, and what do you think they're going to be talking about in the locker room?
Well, I think you bring up a great point. We saw it just last week. Lakeshore was 3-0 and Portage Northern was 0-3. Who would have thought? So it can happen at any point. I think there's a couple things the staff, I'm sure, is focusing on. One is the last 2 games, St. Joe's offense has taken a half to get going. Against last week's opponent, Kalamazoo Central, St. Joe had -1 rushing yards going into the locker room. And at some point, and Coach Pratley even said it, and they've had a number of penalties. And Coach Pratley has said, Coach, so at some point, those things are going to come back and bite us against the really good teams. And, a team that is struggling, a team with a new coach, a team that's looking for identity, the longer they can hang into a ball game, the more enthusiasm they have. So I really think for St. Joe, they can focus on the fact that, listen, the last 2 weeks, we have not done well offensively in the first half at all. Right. So we got to win the first quarter and hopefully take control of the game at that point. But that, I think, having those rough starts the last 2 weeks would be enough to keep their attention and focus. But again, you're dealing with 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. We think as adults, right? And they're young adults, but, they can't see the bigger picture or feel the bigger picture as of yet.
Yeah, and it's the adrenaline rush that's going to be happening for this, the fans, the large amount of fans that I'm sure that will be there for homecoming. So there's all of those factors to think about. But, just taking it one play at a time and focusing on all of that and try to block out distractions, but just execute the playbook. I mean, that's one of the biggest things, and not get down on yourself. But like you said, you're dealing with 15, 16, 17-year-olds. So that's another added factor that you have to deal with. But we're looking forward to this game. Kickoff will be around 7, but we'll have pregame about 6:40, and you can hear it here on 94.9 WSJM, also on the WSJM app. And I know you guys are keeping track of just about everything from the concession stand to every play, everything that you can think about when it comes to this game. On Twitter, Bear WSJM, you can follow along that way. But a lot of other things. Anything else you want to add, Brett?
I just think, it's, I look at the defensive side of the ball, Johnny. They have really, I think, excelled last few weeks. You got Emus, I think he's been an all-state player. Second on team in tackles. 25% of his tackles are for loss of yards, which is incredible. That means he's getting in the backfield. And I would think most teams are checking out. If he's on the right side, they're trying to go left to avoid him.
Yeah.
And I think the turnover margin, they're at a +10 through 4 games, which is huge in high school football. And then I think their punter, Max Taylor's done a phenomenal job, averaging almost 40 yards a punt.
Wow.
With only, and his net's like at 35 or 36. So they're only getting 3 or 4 yards off a punt return. And the opponents are only averaging 25 yards.
That's huge.
Punt. So that tells you, the things within the game that help turn the field in tight games. St. Joe, I've been impressed with St. Joe's punter Taylor. Done a really good job.
That is a huge thing, especially at high school. The special teams are a thing that you don't always get the most talented special teams kickers all the time on some teams. But if you get one and you have that ability to put the ball that far over the field and put field position for the other team, that's pretty big for that to happen. So that's exciting. So homecoming.
And just the last thing, Johnny, that I think is really standing out to me is St. Joe is not winning the time of possession throughout the game on average, or averaging about 22 and a half minutes. Okay. But in the fourth quarter, they have the ball on average 43% more than their opponents.
Wow.
So it tells you, it gets in the fourth quarter, they're doing the things to control the ball, not let the other team get the ball, and finishing out the ball games.
It's an exciting one tonight. The St. Joe Bears homecoming, and Brett Witkowski, class of what? What year?
86.
Okay.
So it's been a few years.
Yeah. So it'll be homecoming for you as well. And you can enjoy that game right here on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM. Heater, is that going to be in the press box tonight?
Oh, without a doubt. It's a beautiful day out, but it's that time of year where it does get a little chilly. We got to keep Mike warm as he's eating that pizza.
Awesome.
Well, it's all about Mike,
Absolutely. All right, Brett. Well, always good to talk to you, and looking forward to the game later on tonight.
Yep. Thank you, Johnny.